you were the star in your life. If I took you out of the story and we played a movie from birth until now with all the characters, it wouldn't really make sense. There'd be a key part of the storyline missing. Aloha and welcome back to A Cup a Day with Jay. Hi, if we haven't met bit. First, I'd really like to thank all the people who have been supporting and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do. There's been people and feedback coming from all over, which is super cool. So I'd like to thank and shout out the subscribers in India, Nepal, Indonesia, Jamaica, and of course the US. With that, today I want to chat a little bit about fear, and I'm going to give you a story. I went for a run, was all super stoked this morning, felt good, loose. After that, I went to do a quick grocery run, no pun intended. And as I exited the building, I saw this homeless gentleman who I had seen earlier when I was running, and for the most part, he seemed, relatively harmless, kind of just off to his side. Couldn't really tell what was going on with him. At one point, looked like he was smoking something. He was there again, but this time he was talking to some lady. And so at first, my initial inclination was like, oh, I wonder if this guy is bothering this lady, like pay attention, kind of be vigilant. And then I heard her ask, oh, well, if you let me know if you need anything, or something along those lines. I wasn't close enough to hear verbatim, but that was the basic sentiment. And I was really struck because I do work really hard at my practice of being a better human. And in that moment, it showed me an area where I continue to work. I don't have to jump to the stereotypes and the things that we're fed. And that's why watching what you put in your mind in the form of movies, television, whatever you stream, even YouTube, music, all of these things that we consume, they kind of get embedded in there. So unless you really continue to do the effort and the work to free yourself from being conditioned, you have to be really vigilant. And at first I felt a little bad because I was just like, oh, who am I to judge the situation, right? And then I was just like, wow, that's a perfect thing for me to talk about and to just share with folks, because it's interesting how we go through our days and sometimes we feel like people have the worst out for us, when really that's not the case. If you look at the universe is abundant, and God is love in so being. And if we apply that filter, we remove the filter of fear and put the love filter over it, it changes the whole perspective on anything. It frees you. Now, a question that's very natural that comes up is like, well, what about all the assholes in the world? Or what about this, and this, and laundry list of atrocities in the world? And we can't deny them. There are people who have committed and done some really terrible things. And that's part of our journey to heal, to work on. And how can we, instead of taking the fear-based anger lens, right? I'm gonna go Star Wars again. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate. So fear as a negative emotion, it's just so terrible. And one thing I've thought a long time about, human beings, we're great at creating, we're great at destroying, love and fear. So if we can just shift the dial every day a little bit more and more into that space, then we can have a greater impact at drawing more love into our life, and hopefully working on crossing some of those atrocities off that list, because we have the power to affect change. We can affect change within ourselves. If we change, then everyone around us is changed, because as we go through our life, it's like flipping a switch, right? Gandhi, change yourself and you change the world. And you look at a statement like that, look at what Christ said about going within. The kingdom of heaven is within. The Buddha, sitting in meditation, quieting, finding that state within, that peace. So within ourselves, if we can just move just enough of that creates this vibration and this ripple that does affect change, that does turn on and allow more light in the world. And if you can do it in your own life and impact your loved ones, that's awesome. One of my mentors told me, if the only person you change the world for is your children, who better? I'm not a parent yet, but I've also looked at that as not only if I have kids, but the generation to come. How can, as I'm going through this, continue to work on myself, learn, grow, and give more to whoever comes up behind me? Because there's value in that. And we don't have to hold on to our knowledge. In Hawaiian, a lot of times people say, hey, share your mana'o. Talk about the wisdom you've acquired, and the kapuna are revered, right? Because they've they've been done a lot of things. They've seen a lot. And I realize when we're younger, we tend to think we know everything. But as we continue to grow, and this is something I might have mentioned in the past, but something Dad told me a couple years back. He was like, hey, you know, you and your brother, you're both grown men, and I can learn from you. That really meant a lot to me, because he was recognizing me not only as his son, who will always be his youngest son, but he was recognizing me as the man who I was becoming. And the same thing with my brother, right? And I think that's super powerful and important. There is wisdom that everyone can share and learn from. Definitely learn from your teachers who are older. Be open to those who come into your life who are younger. And really release, you know, a couple ones back, I'll put the link there. We talked about 1 minute meditation, and I did a guided meditation, right? But truly, I release, I let go, I allow. And by doing that, right, releasing, you're just unplugging, disconnecting, releasing, letting go, let God, let love, allow the goodness, allow abundance, allow the blessings into your life. Allow yourself to awaken each moment and be like, man, that breath, that's a miracle. Because a while back, eons ago, whenever it was, none of that existed. That wasn't even possible. So how is it? And if there's a scientific reason for it, that's great. That's a miracle that we were even able to get to the point where we discovered it. I wanted to share that anecdote here on Super Bowl Sunday. But remember, every day is Super Soul Sunday. Sun like the sun. I butchered that one. Have a great one. I'm like anybody else. I struggle. Sometimes it's hard for me to even want to get out of bed for a variety of reasons. But there's that little voice that I've been working on cultivating, just giving gratitude and giving thanks. So start there. Work and start chipping away and just sanding down the fear so that you can see through love, and watch how your life changes. There's a ton of people out there who have impacted me, and you don't know. You could be impacting someone just through little incremental movements. And that's the thing too. Every moment, every step, every breath, every beat of the heart, we're going closer to the ultimate, the infinite. We're already there. Our consciousness is connected there, but there's who knows how long in this span, in this space. So what are you gonna do with that? How can this be the best day? How can you be the best version of you? Forget anybody else. Forget how their lives are going. That's what's so distracting about social media, is you see all this stuff which people are choosing and curating and showing you. It's not their whole picture. You don't know what's running between their heads. And it doesn't matter what somebody else is doing, because your path is your path. I'm going to say this again. If you've heard this before, if you know me, if I did a reading for you in the past, this is something I've told a ton of people, and I'll probably say it again after this. You were the star in your life. If I took you out of the story and we played a movie from birth until now with all the characters, it wouldn't really make sense. There'd be a key part of the storyline missing. So forget what's going on with other people. Just dive in. What's going on with you? How can you be happier? How can you be more fulfilled? And start there. And part of that is changing the filters so that when we see, we don't always just autopilot to the fear, the flight or flight, right? Because that's part of what I did in that earlier. I've seen things, it's absorbed in my consciousness. I've had and known fear myself. And in that instance, I went into this space of, oh, what's going on here? Is this person going to be okay? And it was better than an okay. It was actually a beautiful experience of compassion. So be open. You don't know what you're going to find. I thank you for tuning in. If you haven't, subscribe, comment, share, and leave your comments, like, for sure. And leave your story. Would love to hear more about it. If you want to connect, there's also some other links below in the description. So mahalo. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.